Yeah, we're recording. All right. Whoa, this is the last session, guys. This is sad. Client Artist Works 21. So there was someone who sent me an email today that isn't here yet. I was going to talk about that. Okay, so I want to go over some of the same things I said at the very first session, though I don't want to go over it so long. And I guess I want to preface this with this comment about this email today. I think when you think about goals and what you want to accomplish, that ultimately it's about the art, and it isn't about the money or the mileposts. I think when we think about what you want to accomplish, we think about where do you want your art to go? What is it you seek to communicate? What do you want to learn from the experience? I think everything else, having a gallery, not having a gallery, having a pop-up show, these are vehicles. These are the means to accomplish something large, bigger. You know, like making art has something to do with the essence of life. And I think when we talk about, my goal is to have a museum, a gallery show, a one-person show within 18 months. I somehow think that isn't a life-worthy goal. You know, a life-worthy goal is I want to learn a lot from my art, or I want my art to communicate a lot to other people. I want it to register. I want to make a difference. To me, those are the kinds of things that are a goal. I don't know, I don't know that it's always about, I don't think it's about money. I don't see money as a goal. I see money as a, as a lubricant, something that enables you to do what you do. It's like fuel. You know, you got to stop at a gas station these days when you have a gasoline vehicle to get gas to propel your car. But the goal isn't to make it to the gas station. You know, the goal is to get to some destination where you're going to see family, friends, have a nice experience, something like that. I think, I feel strongly that if we make a priority of something worthy, we do much better at getting there. And other people can appreciate that it's worthy more so than just saying, you want a Cadillac, and now you want a Porsche, and now you want a Ferrari. I don't think those are goals. I think, you know, the goal is I want a car that can get me to my next philosophy. I think that's kind of different. All right, that said, I firmly believe that all of us, all of you, can totally succeed because this is a personal thing. We as human beings are unique, we are original, and we are looking for people who agree with where we're going, what we're doing, what we're talking about, or at least are susceptible to it, are available to benefit from the experience. And all you need to do is find the number of people that will enable that. In my mind, that's 6. 6 people who support your work can generate, you know, success for you. Maybe you need to elevate those 6 over time as your goals, you know, as you get closer to the things you're trying to accomplish. But I don't think it takes an awful lot of people to facilitate your progress. I think an awful lot is about growing community, about engaging, about showing up, about walking out the door, about saying, what can I do to participate? What can I do to help out? You interested? No? Okay, next. You are? Cool. Like this art? I like what you're doing. Let's talk. All this stuff is really subjective, you know? I mean, people are going to like you because they like you. I don't know that they can explain it. Some people are going to dislike you or dislike your art. I guess that means I need to go to the point where you are not your art. You know, it's like you're a mom or a dad and you're having children. Your art is way closer to your being your child than it is being you. You know, you want your children to have their own integrity, their own life, their own security, their own knowledge. You know, if somebody insults your child, it hurts. You know, if somebody insults you, it hurts. But it's probably not real, and they're probably talking more about themselves. I think we can do it if we engage and if we are generous and if we aren't talking about me, 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 me. Can you help me get a gallery? Can you help me get a show? I don't think that works very well. I think what works well is, what are you interested in? What's our common ground? How do we move through this common ground? How can I contribute to your effort? And maybe you can contribute to mine. Those are the kinds of things that I think matter. And those are the kinds of things I've hoped you've begun or are embracing in this course. I want to stick around and answer all questions about all topics tonight. Hopefully most of them are about art. I think it's really important to trust your vision. This is kind of like your religion, your vision, your strategy. No, not your strategy, your essence, what you're about, why you're trying to say something. Once you understand or what's important to you or what you really like or what motivates you, think about how you want to go about getting it out into the world. These are two different things. One is vision, two is strategy. You know, vision, I don't feel like is all that negotiable. I'm a Mac. You know, I mean, people who are a Mac or a PC, I'm using this instead of religion today, seem to have, you know, a philosophical identity with that. Okay, so be it. Let's not negotiate it. You know, then what you do about that or how you get your vision out into the world, I think that's up for strategy. Do I make it cheap? Do I make it expensive? Do I make it big? Do I make it small? Do I do a lot of them? Do I do a few of them? All of those things, I think, you know, can be discussed. You know, as we've discussed, as we've talked about, you need to make distinctive art. This is so people can recognize it as being different from somebody else's. If there are 27 people running around painting like Van Gogh, it probably doesn't serve any of them. If there's one person painting like you, and somebody can look at an image and say, yep, I get it, I see it, that's yours, you know, you've done a decent thing. To an extent, I resent the word, this is branding. You know, but to a bigger extent, it's making something that people can relate to. This isn't to say that it's got to be the same consistent, always a tulip, always vertical, always 16 by 11 inches. It isn't that. But, you know, there is a commonality. You know, this is interesting with artificial intelligence. They're talking about how artificial intelligence can diagnose a painting and tell from like one brushstroke whether it's authentic or not. You know, I mean, I think the same kind of thing happens when you make your marks and you express yourself. Feel okay about that. Take responsibility for yourself. Your career is more in your hands. Your art success, your art expression, your vision is more in your hands than anybody else's, even if you have a gallery. Lots of artists are insanely creative about making art and thinking about art and making works of art and sculpture and pieces and two-dimensional, three-dimensional pieces, and then get pretty damn boring about when it comes to having a career. You guys are creative. Use your creativity everywhere. I don't think you're an artist some of the time, and a mom some of the time, and a dad some of the time, and a Girl Scout some of the time. I think you're an artist all the time, and all of these things feed into that experience and participate in who you are and what comes out on the canvas. My wife and I are talking about getting a dog. We had to put our dog down about 5-6 months ago because it was really sick. And this was a dog that was given to us by my son when he moved out of the country, and we weren't really looking for a dog. And I would say we didn't do a very good job training it. And now we've been paying attention to dog training strategies a lot. And the essence seems to be that dogs are really sentient. They can sense things like your mood, your anger, your feeling, way more than humans can. And that one of the best ways to train a dog is to create the energy that you want the dog to respond to. So that if you're walking down the path and encounter another human or dog about whom you are not afraid, you relax the leash. so that the dog understands that you're in control, you're comfortable, and the situation is okay. If you do like I used to do, you pull on a leash because you're worried about the dog overreacting, you're pretty much guaranteeing that the dog is going to react. Attitude makes a hell of a lot of difference. If you walk into a meeting with a client, a collector, a person who might like you or your art, and your attitude is, oh, cool, this is going to be fun. I get to meet somebody and learn what they're about. I'm going to ask some smart questions. I'm not going to talk about me all the time. I'm going to try and be generous and see if I can have a nice experience. Or you can walk in and go, I got to deal with this putz. I really can't stand them. I think their politics are out of line. I don't want to know anything about them. I can't wait until this is over. There's a lot of self-fulfillment that happens. It's easier to see it in dogs. But you can certainly, I know it happens with humans too. I know that in addressing my cancer, attitude makes a huge difference. For me, I need to create mechanisms. This is a lot of what I've learned in the last 3-4 years. I need to create mechanisms that keep me having a positive attitude and engaged and growing. A lot of that for me means bicycling. If I can get on my bike first thing in the morning and engage with nature and see the sunrise and the water and the lake and the horizon and meditate for a moment and just feel the flow and like I'm engaged with the planet, I feel really good. And then I can come back and I can work with you guys, a couple of artists every morning. And I feel like I'm giving something. Then I feel entitled for good news. I don't walk around feeling guilty. I don't walk around feeling like the government is paying a whole lot of money to keep me alive. I feel like that's their issue. I'm doing okay. I'm contributing. And that makes me feel okay. And that participates in getting me success. And it is totally, totally, totally doable by each and every one of you. Each of you are worthy. Each of you are entitled to your space on this planet. Each of you are entitled to your ideas to be heard and to be engaged. Each of you have earned that. And each of you have a gift. And the world is waiting for it. People need to hear, need to see, need to feel what you can contribute and can communicate. It's kind of selfish to not share it. Some of you think maybe that you're greedy by wanting to put yourself out there. I think you're generous. I think it's a gift. A lot of this, as I've said, is like dating. I don't think you're trying to consummate relationships at the get-go. It's a process. It takes time. It's baby steps. It's baby steps. It's incremental. You don't need a show at a major museum today. But you can create a pop-up exhibit and easily move towards that kind of an experience. The relationships begin small and grow. I can ramble forever. I want to answer questions. But first, I want to go back to where I started. I think one is capable, I'm still working on this idea. I think one is capable of artfully constructing a career so that the doing of the career has resonance with the art. It's kind of like, let me see if I can explain this, and then I want to think about questions. You go into your studio, whoop, put a oxygen tank over your head or something like that, and you go into your space and you have this singular relationship between you and your art, and you create something heartfelt with you and your art without a whole lot of awareness about the externality, whatever, the outside shit. And then you try and think about, where can I get this shown so that somebody can see it, so that it can register, and maybe I can sell it and make some money. Seems like that's too many steps. I'm wondering if there is a way in which you can conduct your art practice so that it is kind of like the act of making it resonates with what it's about. I see Theaster Gates as an example, and I don't know if this is good or limiting or not. So Theaster is, about race and eliminating blight and getting people together to share ideas and talk. So a lot of it is hosting events at nice spaces, and I don't know, not necessarily nice, interesting spaces, sometimes near in the ghetto, sometimes rehab buildings, etc., and inviting minorities there to sort of reveal themselves and inviting white people to show up and experience it. Maybe I'm a little crass in expressing this, but you're ending up with indigenous food and some indigenous music and some white people feeling thankful. That might be, the way to go about doing it. That is kind of the art form. So it makes it. I'm wondering if that's a better way to go about it. I just got an email from somebody that said they lost the link and can't join the meeting. Why don't you guys ask some questions, and I'm going to send an email. 1 second. Think about the questions. I will be back in 4. Oh, she found it. All right. So, who has a question? I don't see any hands. Okay, bye. Any question, anything we've covered, talk. All right, I'm going to go to Paul. Go ahead, Paul. Wait. You are unmuted. Yes.
Okay. I asked last week about a bibliography or something like that, and that was, but I was wondering also kind of resources that you would do if you were me and you were going to say, I mean, I have figurative artists that I look at, they're, an organization that, and I would go online and look through all their portfolios and everything. But if I was looking for artists, we're looking for artists to find what galleries they go in, but to also just because we want to find stuff we really like. And what would you do? Just random or how?
Not quite. I would start. All right, that's a good question. I would, for example, look at Untitled Art Fair, which is happening next week in Miami. And there are a bunch of art fairs in Miami that you can take a look at. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Here is Untitled Art Fair. I take a look at Untitled, and I would then go look at their list of, I haven't looked at this website. I would look at their list of exhibitors. And then I would look at each and every gallery. And I would take a look at the artists. All right, so Untitled is a pretty good fair that artists who have taken this course could be appropriate for the galleries that are showing in this fair. Art Basel, Miami Beach, your art should be upwards of $100,000 before those many of those galleries would be appropriate for you. So here's a gallery that I just, here, I'm picking one. It starts with the letter K. And I've never heard of Kleindienst, but I like how it sounds. And they're in Leipzig, and I don't care because the world is flat and we need to put bumps in it, and I'm bumpy and they might like my bumps. And I would look at this and I would say, this looks kind of like Mark's work. Hey, Mark. And then I would look at, all right, so I'd go to the gallery, and then, are we at the gallery? We're at the gallery. And then I would look at other artists that they show, because galleries might have some aesthetic. And then I would look at each and every one of these artists. And if this artist made some sense, I would then go over here and look at that person's biography and see, oh my goodness, they showed a diploma, whatever that is, same gallery. So this artist was only, here's a different gallery. So then I'd go to this gallery. Oh, that didn't work. That's going to this meeting. Oops, I don't want to do that. I don't want to come in here twice. But, all right, you got the concept, Paul?
Yeah.
So basically you're growing a tree, and or you could start with somebody in this group whose work you like and see where they show or what they do, and grow that same tree somewhere else. So, I mean, let's say you were the gallery. I don't know that you are or not, but let's say you have a gallery that is in Topeka, and the gallery works with 26 artists. Take a look at the artists, to see where else they show. You could easily write a letter to Joe Blow in Minneapolis and say, Joe, I noticed that you show my buddy who is so-and-so here that I show with. His art's really cool. Maybe you'd like mine. Here's an introduction. Way to go. Keep up the good work.
Very good.
Facebook too. I mean, pay attention, friend people, look at shit they post. When they post something you like, see what they're going and what they're doing. And be generous, be friendly with people, tell them you like their art, where you're going with it. People will start turning you on to stuff too. Awesome. Margaret, good morning. You are unmuted, go ahead.
Okay, I have a very concrete question. It's about how to get your art out into the world. So I was interviewed by a journalist a couple of days ago, and she will publish a portrait on me sometime this week in an Austrian newspaper. So this is great. I mean, the interview went really well, but now I'm wondering, because this is happening at the time that I'm applying for jobs in Austria, and I mean for teaching jobs, and also I'm nominated for an art prize. And so in the course of that, I was wondering if I can ask the journalist to email me the article before it's being published.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the journalist may say no.
Okay. I'm more wondering, like, am I being too controlling, thinking?
No,
I mean,
I'm comfortable with the truth. And the truth is I've got some great opportunities coming up. I'm really excited about the article you're writing. If it's in a finished state, it would be awesome for me to be able to share it with these people before the article comes out, because it might be too late otherwise. Is that okay with you? I hope it is.
I'm not sure if I understood.
I was dictating the letter.
Oh, okay. I'll listen to it later.
I think you can tell the truth and ask them, tell them what you want and see what they say.
Okay, all right.
Some publications, I mean, I gave money to a not-for-profit publication, and then they wrote an article about my gallery, and I said, I'm sending out a newsletter. Can I have the article a week before it goes out? And they said, no. It would be a violation of the freedom of press or something.
Okay.
Like, oh my God. So, they could say no, but there's no reason you should not ask.
Okay, great.
All right. Who else wants to say something, ask something? Wait a minute, I gotta go over here, switch with you. Jose, it's your chance, dude.
Have anything much to say. My concerns are really nuts and bolts.
Go for it.
I think I need to get out of Chicago to actually get some action, and I'm going to start doing that.
Why do you think that? I don't think where you are effect matters.
Well, I've been doing this for a long time, and it's been very difficult. I've mentioned to you a couple of things that have happened to me, matter of bad luck, bad situation, whatever happened, and I just would like to find some galleries that are a little bit more challenging. I'm not sure.
Well, time out. I don't think you need to get out of town. I think your art needs to get out of town.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, and I will get out too.
Good. All right. Yeah, you can go to. Yeah, it should take you places.
And I mean, I've learned a lot in this, and a lot of stuff that I'm very familiar with, and I've enjoyed everyone who's on this panel. I like to learn more about the art, and I definitely am always looking for new work. I'm going to Puerto Rico in a few days for just to volunteer and
Thank
help
you.
people out there, and staying at an artist's house. And I'm going to check out what's going on out there. You know, what's going on in Puerto Rico. What are people concerned with? What is the art like scene there now that the place has been so affected? I'm more interested in those kinds of things.
Good
And
for
definitely
you.
making money through the art is the main thing that I have, because for me, it's a matter of survival. And I haven't opened up a lot in this situation because my personal life is very troublesome right now. And a lot of it is driven by economics. Because as you know, making work as an artist is very difficult. You get a lot of doors slammed when you're trying to approach galleries for one reason or another. And I think some of the things that you said, Paul, has really helped me in my attitude towards how to get people to open the door, even though you do get assistants who are actually stopping you. You know, and that's happened to me a few times.
You know what?
Yeah.
Not all those places are right for you. You know, I mean, some of them are just assholes.
Well, yeah, and for example, I had an experience, and I don't think that necessarily the people who are trying to help out the person who's a gallery owner are thinking that they're assholes.
No, of course not.
They can be, but I've met gallery owners who are very open. I had Kavi.
Kavi Gupta?
Yeah, come to my gallery to my studio a few times. A few years ago, Josh Garber invited him to come out and see my work. He really liked it, and I was doing something completely different.
I was talking to Josh yesterday. He just finished a new piece. It's really huge.
Yeah,
You
in Miami. You were talking about Miami. He's going to be there.
Yeah, you totally have something to offer. I don't know that all art dealers are capable of hearing it, seeing it, promoting it. You know, if they can't listen, they probably can't promote, or very well.
Well, how much are they really looking at the artists who come on the door, and how much are they really paying attention to people who have their ear, and where is the power in that? Because as an artist, I feel that I'm really, for the most part, powerless, and that's basically why I'm taking this course.
No, you're not. I mean, you may feel powerless.
I do. That's what I mean.
Well, it's about relationships, and a lot of people don't give a damn about your stature. They give a damn about your character.
Yeah, that's true.
And some people care about your stature, and screw them. If maybe they're below you. But so.
I'd like to hear, Paul.
Wait.
You're such a great guy.
No, stop.
Yeah, go ahead.
Logistically, an art dealer cannot look at everything.
No.
They do not have the time. So they listen to people who they respect. So Josh said to Kavi, check out Jose. Yeah. Kavi said, oh, I kind of like your stuff, Josh. Maybe I'll look at Jose. Maybe I'll learn something. Mm-hmm. If you went and said, hey, Kavi, look at my stuff. He goes, who are you? I don't know. I can't tell. It might look good, but I don't know. Let me ask my mother.
Yeah, but then what happened was that I moved to South America. I was painting there for about 3 or 4 years. Lots of movement. I was in 2 biennials, but I couldn't sell a thing. I sold a T-shirt. And I was trying to get work shown at Kavi, but they were more interested in looking at people in New York. Really,
Kavi doesn't care about
in Chicago. That was at the time, and
don't quote me, but Kavi does not care about art.
No, it wasn't Kavi. It was his assistant.
The whole place.
I don't know.
Money. It's about making money there. They show some good artists, but I don't think they know how to talk art.
Well, in Chicago, for example, or around the world, do you have any suggestions of people who are like you, who would be so embracing to just artists? I mean,
almost
so
every
many
person with whom I've done a webinar, plus 90% of the rest of the people. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't get it. You seem like a nice guy and personable to me. I like you. I don't see why you're meeting this resistance. And I don't know what's going on with your art enough to see why it's meeting resistance.
Well, I've been
told
before.
Stop. You and I need to, I can't give you.
Okay, no, we won't get into it. But
the limit of everybody else. But
let me just say something, and on the positive end, and that is that what this course has done for me is to give me hope that just being myself can continue to help me.
It totally will.
Regardless of what obstacles I may find out there. And I'm just going to keep
I'm
on.
going to use you as an example, and don't take it too personally.
No. Go ahead.
I don't know well enough.
And you can readily read it.
You know, a lot of what I'm really capable of doing is illustrating how the art world works and what you got to do to be able to navigate it. Part of what's difficult for me is people, I'm not sure that Jose is doing this, but it's a decent segue, and he might be, is people who get in their own way. And I know I do it to myself, and sometimes when I'm confronted on it or called on it, this is what I was talking about earlier, is I need to create systems to make stuff work for me to deal with the challenges that are ahead of me. Some of that is finding ways to not get in my way, to create, if I exercise and see the sun and can be out and feel the energy, I feel like I belong. If I stay indoors, if I sit in the bathroom all day, I don't get that. That's one little thing that I have to do. There are many. If you guys are interested, I'm interested in working with you one-on-one, at least in theory. This is something that I'm doing with about 25 or 30 artists currently. And we tend to meet once every week or 2 weeks, usually every 2 weeks. And it is really to keep you on task and to keep you responsible, and for you to have an upper level conversation about art every 2 weeks, and to realize that you belong at that upper level. And then we talk about what you need to do to get there and go beyond it. So I mean, Jose would be someone that would be really good for one-on-one, so that I can work on his habits and give him guidelines and, make this stuff continue to happen, etc. I'm going to go to Kay. You're unmuted. Go ahead, Kay.
Well, I've got 3 questions, but I'll
Okay.
just, we'll see how we go for time, because I don't want to use loads of time. But first of all, I just want to say that it's been amazing, and it's been so interesting, and a real journey for me. And I'm going to start all over again at week 1 next week, and do it all over again. So thank you, everybody. And
you're totally welcome. And I need to say, interrupt you, this group has been really good, and Clyde's been really generous in offering, and a lot of people have followed suit and have shared and vulnerability and stuff. You guys have been really a pleasure for me also, and I think the quality of the group has enhanced all of our experiences. So I should have said that earlier. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I also, what I want to say is that if anybody wanted to do a residency in London, I've got a small studio, but you could do up to a 2-meter wide painting. I've got a 3-bedroom flat on the edge of the city. Tower Bridge is just a few minutes walk away. If anybody's interested in swapping for a week or 2, anytime, then let's talk about it, because I'd be really interested to do that.
Did you see that there's someone who took the course in Bali who wants to go, where there's a volcano erupting at the moment, who wants to go on vacation for 2 weeks and needs somebody to take care of her dogs?
No, I didn't see
So
that.
you could go to Bali for 2 weeks and swap
Okay.
for London.
As long as the volcano's not too...
I think it just makes the sunrise pretty. It's far enough away from where she is.
Yeah.
But I think that's a beautiful offer. But, I like that you're volunteering, and an awful lot of people are available, who haven't thought about volunteering. And I think it's a great opportunity. You've created your own residency.
Yeah. And families, we can cope, I can cope with the family here, and so you could bring your families too. So that's something to think about. The other thing was time. I just wonder how people cope with jobs and families and time in the studio or time making work, and just how it all functions. Because sometimes I think I waste so much time thinking about, instead of do it. Well, I do, but it's kind of like I'm thinking bad things while I'm doing it, thinking I should be in the studio, but I can't. And I don't think it has a good effect on everything, really, because it's not achieving.
I don't think it's a problem, because there is no way that an artist can have enough time. Even if you are a single cretin with no family and all you spend is time on your art and your career, you still don't have enough time.
Yeah. Sure.
So, I mean, maybe you can get an assistant, maybe you can get a partner, but an assistant keeps you responsible. You have to give them things to do, and it can make work or free up work.
And it's that time spent on like admin around your art, and which you could be making the art, but then obviously the admin side's really important, looking for opportunities, and I know there's no answer. I know there's no.
And you're never, in my book, you're never not an artist. When you're on the toilet, when you're sleeping, you're still an artist.
Yeah.
You know, you were an artist right at the moment you became a human.
When you said that earlier, it did make me think, that's I had a tutorial years ago when I did my degree by an art critic called Sasha Craddock. She used to write for The Guardian. And she said to me that the way I work, sort of like my painting and my life are on two parallels. And she said that I needed to bring those things together. And I've thought about that often over the years, trying to work out exactly what it meant. And I know it's really obvious, but it's kind of not to me as well. But anyway.
I don't know, you're English. David Bowie comes to mind.
Right.
I don't know where the separation was. And I think you could look at Amy Whitehouse, and I think the separation participated in killing her.
Yeah.
I don't think she reconciled it. I think David Bowie, I think you lose some of you lose something, but I think you pick up more.
Mm.
It's certainly hard for Amy Winehouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you have another comment? I think that's 2.5.
No, I've just got one more question, but if it's not important. So if there's no questions later, then I'll stop.
Beautiful. All right, we'll all be there next Friday.
Yeah, great. I'll be on my own next Monday.
Hallie, you are unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone.
Hi there.
First of all, to thank Paul for this opportunity. I've learned so much. It's been a really, really fantastic experience. I don't have a question. I just want to encourage Jose, okay? I think it's very important that in this time and age, you look at what's going on around. Okay, there's so many reports of galleries shutting down and a lot of things about art that's not really going on that used to happen 10, maybe 15 years ago. So when you talk about galleries not being open to your work, galleries not being, collectors not being open to your work, sort of resisting artists, I'd like you to sort of go back and watch some of the artists Paul has interviewed before, like Theaster Gates. There's a really shy artist, I've forgotten his name.
Nick Cave?
And what, sorry?
Nick Cave, maybe?
No, very, very shy guy in his 50s, I think. I forgot his name. It'll come.
Sorry.
Okay. The thing is, what they did was they just created their own world. You have to create your own world and draw people to it, rather than impose yourself on people. Okay, rather than take your art to people, get them to come to you, like a flower. What attracts butterflies, It's very interesting in life. What you focus on really grows. And it feels like at this point, your focus is a lot on the negative aspect of the beauty that you possess inside of you. Okay? So if you just shift away from the negativity, the positive will attract, you begin to attract that. But my main idea basically is create your own world. Okay, even if it means having to sell stuff, create art that you don't really like to create to sort of build your income, do it. I'm in a place where most of my clients are expatriates. They want to buy paintings about camels and palm trees and mosques. That's not what my work is about, but I do it, you know, because it brings a little bit on the side, okay? And in the process, I create the relationship that Paul keeps talking about, okay? You want 2 camels, I'll paint you 3, okay? And that makes sure that I have a contact. I can talk to you. I can talk to your friends through you, all right? So where you are, look at the kind of art that people are drawn to. I would suggest looking at the foreigners that have come there, you know, the students who've come to study there, or the people who've come to work in that city. What kind of art are they collecting? Okay, I'm sure they want souvenirs or something that reminds them about the city, even if these are small plaques you're making with this, the name, you know, just it's an opening to a conversation, to a relationship, to some positive aspect towards the art that you're doing. I don't know if that makes sense, and I really hope that encourages you. That's all.
I think that's super beautiful, fabulous. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to do something weird. There was this listing recently about how truthful scenes are in art in various films. There's this wonderful scene that I'm going to show right now that I just pulled up from Dr. No, when he goes back in history and finds Van Gogh and brings Van Gogh into the Musée d'Orsay, no, Musée d'Orsay. And, you know, I mean, basically Van Gogh sold no art in his life. And at one point in this 3-minute scene that I'm going to share with you guys, you know, Dr. No turns to the curator and says, can you help me get Van Gogh's work in context? And the thing that he says that really moves me is, look at the insane beauty that he created through all of his suffering. With all of that suffering, he was still capable of seeing the beauty in the world. And that's pretty cool. So watch this for a second.
Where are we? That's 2010 AD, and this is the mighty Musée d'Orsay, home to many of the greatest paintings in history.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Ignore that, I've got something more important to show you.
Take all your chances while you can. Never know when they'll pass you. So the mathematician can solve. Like me, trying the hardest to explain. So about you, crossing kisses, those first steps that I can't get to you.
Glass. We met a few days ago. I asked you about the church. The birds.
Oh, yes. Glad to be of help. You were nice about my tie.
Yes. And today is another cracker, if I may say so. But I just wondered, between you and me, in 100 words, where do you think Van Gogh rates in the history of art?
Well, big question. But to me, Van Gogh is the finest painter of all. Certainly the most popular, great painter of all time. The most beloved, His command of color was magnificent. He transformed the pain of his tormented life into ecstatic beauty. Pain is easy to portray, but to use your passion and pain to portray the ecstasy and joy and magnificence of our world, no one had ever done it before. Perhaps no one ever will again. To my mind, that strange, wild man who roamed the fields of Provence was not only the world's greatest artist, but also one of the greatest men who ever lived. Vincent, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, is it too much? No, they're tears of joy. Thank you, sir. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Sorry about the beard.
Yeah, that makes me cry. Jose, you might not get to experience in your lifetime, but that could be you. You know, we may not know. That's the kind of strength you have to have. And I don't know, I look at something like that and say, he did it. Why can't you? Clyde, you are on. Go ahead.
Oh, wow. Hey, how can I follow that? Also, adding further to Jose's comments, I recommend, if he hasn't done it, watch the webinar with Wesley Kimbler.
Wesley Kimbler?
He touched on some points that is going to be obstacles for me. When he mentioned that, he said he encountered a lot of the gallery owners and curators and critics. They're more interested in talking about their nightclub experiences and networking and hobnobbing than art. And he, had to learn how to bypass those people and establish a certain threshold as to how much he could put up with before he would go on to somebody else. I think that's what Jose is encountering.
Wesley's a pretty good friend, and I would have to say he's done a really piss poor job of learning anything.
Well, those comments that he made kind of stuck with me, because those are what he confirmed what I'm, thinking about, some people in the art world, that when I encounter, when I get ready to start going out and approaching galleries, that's in the back of my mind that,
there's some truth
encountering those people, I'm going to tell them where to go. And
I don't, be a little careful, because the art world is small. And burning bridges, you might want to talk to somebody again in a year. I find that happens often, so I follow my son's advice, which is smile and nod.
Very good advice, yes.
And not point out how totally inept they are. Cool. Kay, your hand is up. Do you want to say, did you remember something, Kay?
That it was from last time.
Okay. Clyde, were you done, or do you have more you wanted to say? I got the feeling I know what to do.
Yeah, pretty much. Just wanted, before we close tonight, if you could run down your technique about sending out emails to galleries and.
Let's do that right now. Yeah. I believe this works. I'm pretty convinced, like 100%. And the problem is doing it. All right. So the drill is pretty simple. Write 2 new galleries a week. 2 new galleries a week. The email, the more personal you make it, the better. Ideally, send it to a person with whom you're going to communicate. It does not matter if the gallery, Clyde, you and I are sitting here crying, trying to have an adult conversation. It does not matter. I mean, try and get the email address of the director of the gallery or whomever you'd like to grow a relationship with, and write that person. The first email basically says, I found you on the internet. I saw you at an art fair. My mother told me you were really cool. My dog picked up your announcement, and I checked you out, and yeah, you look like you do a really good job. I'm impressed. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, here is one image. Please put me on your mailing list. By the way, here is one image of mine so you know what I am up to. Okay? You're clearly not asking them to do anything. All right, so you're writing 2 new galleries a week. That means you're writing 100 galleries the first year. You follow up with each of these galleries 1 month later. About. It can be 3, it can be 5, somewhere in there. And you write them another email and you say, you know, thanks for putting me on the mailing list, or I was looking at you again, or I was thinking about Kansas City, and I looked and you're in Kansas City and I love what you're doing. Thanks so much. Here's another image of mine so you can see what I'm doing. Love, Clyde. You know, again, you're not asking for anything. And this routine happens repeatedly, period. You can mix it up with sending snail mail. Send a letter, handwritten with a stamp on it that says, you know, I thought of you and I'm sending this along, hope you're well, really appreciate all you do for the arts. You know, at some point they're gonna go, Clyde, you're really nice and I really enjoy your support. What do you do? Hey, or Clyde, I've been looking at your stuff and it's pretty nice, you know? I really appreciate your comments. Thanks so much. Frequently, if you've done this with some precision or religiously, at about 6 or 7 months, an email shows up that says, Clyde, we're doing a group show that seems to have a lot to do with your work. Would you consider lending us 3 pieces for the exhibit? And you're going, how did that happen? And then you go, okay, sure. And you do that, and you lend pieces, and then they go, you know, Clyde, after the show, we sold 2 of these, and people really like them. Maybe we should have a few more pieces around. And, yeah, we could talk about representation. That happens with a fair degree of certainty. If they haven't done squat after 9 months, you know, maybe I'd get more formulaic and not send them as personal letters, and or stop. But, you know, if you're sending 100 of these over a period of a year and you get all of a 10% response, you got a problem trying to figure out what to do with 10 galleries that are interested in you. Okay? Now, that's not the whole thing. Ideally, you should send 2 emails a month to art writers, journalists, people who write about the art. That's harder to track them and see what they do. And 2 times a month, you should send new emails to curators. Dan Cameron, I just saw that you announced that you're going to be curating a biennial next year in Kansas City, the Midwest Biennial. How super awesome. Can't wait to see it. This is so great. Way to go, Dan. You know, he posted that on Facebook today. My first comment was, how can I contribute? Not, oh, cool, Dan, what can you do for me? Right? Oh, cool, Dan, this is great. What can I do to make it better? You know, and he'll probably go, thanks, Paul, nothing. And I'll go, okay, cool, I got a point. You know, so that's pretty much the drill. Got it, Clyde? And I hope I explained it well enough that others do too. Clyde, thanks.
Thank you.
I am muting you, and I am unmuting Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, mainly just to have some comments, because this has been an amazing experience, as everyone here has expressed. And Kay, I totally agree. This has been kind of a humbling experience and a huge learning experience. And one of my new mantras now is don't get off the wave, because I think I'm right now on this kind of wonderful wave of everything that's happening. Joe and I have talked about this, about all the synchronicities that will continue the rest of our lives because of this kind of thing that we're into. And I just wanted to share that. Also, I want to say to Kali and to Jose that one of the other kind of mantras that I've always enjoyed is you are what you celebrate. And so I think that has a lot to do with how that kind of a positive attitude, because that is what you become. Also, as Joe and I have talked about, that same kind of making your own reality. But just a couple of little comments too, that when I started this webinar, I had just turned down, I didn't turn down a residency, don't get me wrong. I turned down the even opportunity to try for a residency. And what this class has done for me, and a lot is, of course, Paul, I mean, but also Gigi's book about grant writing. That first chapter is brilliant. And because it's also gotten me into a whole different mindset of don't start with the research, start with yourself. And all of those kinds of things have really resonated with me, because I know I would not go with this residence. I wouldn't even apply for it because I didn't know how it would help the community. And I know that's what they wanted. And I just didn't know how. But being in this webinar, it's like light bulbs have come off. Well, of course, that was an easy thing to solve. I just didn't have enough time to figure it out back then. And so how to do that and how to make it not only an impact for me, but on the community. And it totally addresses, Paul, your comment a minute ago about making art that deals with that art. It's like, that was all of what you've done is kind of pushed me into that next level here. And another little example is I was just talking with a gallery owner up in Massachusetts, and we were at length because I'm going to have a little show up there, and I talked to her about some of the things, sort of some of the logic I think that we've kind of learned in here, because she wanted me to be in a show coming up of augmented reality, and I've told her that is an area that I think I would be very good at concepting, but I don't know the iPhone app that well. I don't know how to create an app. But with this augmented, she said, don't worry. We have people up here that would love for you to do that. And I said, as long as we can work on an app that would work with some of my concepts that have to do with the betterment of the community, then I would love to continue with that kind of conversation. She said, very few people up here talk that way. But I know who I'm going to put you in touch with, because you're going to have a great synergy there. And
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is you come in with an attitude and people go, give me more. And let me shovel coal in your direction to fuel your fire.
And if you don't know the person, I do. Right. Yeah. I know that when I got invited during this webinar from Allison to be in and to be curated into a show, I haven't talked to her in 20 years. But 20 years ago, I might have made an impression on her or whatever, but now I will. I want to continue that conversation. In fact, she'll be here next week doing a book signing. And so I'm looking forward to actually seeing her in person again. So a lot of those things they're all in the forefront. That's why I say, don't get off the wave.
You know, Mark brings up a point. Mark said really great things, and I'm going to go dive to a mundane one, which is, people in your life from 40 years ago are waiting to hear from you.
Yes.
You know, if you wrote somebody and said, God, you know, I haven't thought of you. You just came into we went to high school together, and you just came to how are you? You know, what are you up to? I remember you made some really cool drawings. I'm making art. What are you doing? You know, and maybe all kinds of things happen. That's cool, Mark. I like that. That's good stuff.
It's been quite an honor being in this course. I'm just going to say that up front, because, Paul, you've been pretty amazing. And even though I hope you take this in the right way, purely in the right way, because I kept thinking you are the Charlie Rose of the art community. You give, but I mean that in a good way. But because you have really good, way of pulling out of these interviews. And I really enjoyed it, but I couldn't decide if you were the Charlie Rose or the Charlie Manson, because we're all drunk the Kool-Aid.
I'm gonna go with Charlie Brown. Cool, dude. Thank you very much. I don't see any more hands. Anybody? I'm looking at the Janice. Go for it. You are unmuted.
Okay. After listening to the whole section on, send out 2 emails a day or a week to this, and just the list, I find it mind-boggling. But anyway, I'll get my mind wrapped around that. But earlier you talked about the Astor Gates, and almost how he really zeroed in on exactly what he was doing. And so I guess I'm I'm struggling with that because it's like, on one hand, some of my stuff that I put out on Instagram, people say, don't label it because then it narrows the market too much. You're closing yourself in, you're closing doors by labeling things. But on the other hand, you're saying, well, that's what the astrogates do. It's like, name it.
I don't know what you mean. What are you putting up and what are you labeling?
Well, things like on Instagram, you'll hashtag things. So I'm usually hashtagging feminist art, textile art, that kind of thing. A lot of people say, don't label it feminist art because you're just blocking out too many other things. So then
wait a minute. With the faceback thing and tagging feminist art, I don't look at what anybody tags. If you're tagging it with feminist art, that's going to, somebody's looking for feminist art. It's going to show up there. So I don't think you're confining it, you're exposing, you're advertising it and probably getting it more exposure. If you posted it on a sign for, I don't know, if you posted it only on a website for neo-Nazi stuff, maybe the wrong people are not going, blah, blah, blah. Maybe the people you want to see it aren't going to see it, but I don't think you're prohibiting anything in the example you gave.
Okay.
Another question? That's it?
Well, no, but then when you think of that, or when I'm thinking of that, and then you think of all of the galleries and things you're listing out saying, write this many emails, and I just think, really? Are there that many? Like, I just feel like...
I think there are 25,000 art galleries in the world.
I guess when you think of the whole world, yeah.
And I don't see any reason that you should begin in your hometown.
Okay.
I think a lot of it is what makes you sexy. And what makes you sexy is you're different than the next person. And you're more different if you're applying to the gallery that Ian's working with in Australia than if you're applying to the gallery down the street.
Okay. I guess I think I start thinking ahead. Okay, how am I going to get it there? It's not just a painting. I can't roll it up and put it in a tube and send it to someone.
There's all kinds of things you can do, and Ian will help you.
Okay.
And or you go stay with Kay, and you make the art in London, and then we let the Commonwealth take care of it.
So I worry about it if and when I get there.
My sense is that you will come up with creative solutions that will cause your career to grow further.
Okay.
Maybe this show has to be digital.
Mm.
Who knows?
Right.
We love you. We have to do this. We'll pay for your airfare. Shipping, maybe that's a problem. But we need to do a show, Janice. What are you going to do? You're going to go, I'm on it, I'm working on it, and you're going to grow.
Okay.
I want to go back to what Margaret said way earlier, which is I see everything as an opportunity to enhance the next thing. I don't think having somebody write a catalog essay or an article about you is the end result and we feel, oh, good, somebody wrote an article. I think the question is what do I want to have happen next? How can I use that article to help promote that? One question. Second question is, what can this article do on its own? How can I put this article out in the world? First thing is you must send it to everybody on your mailing list. Ooh, I'm so excited, can't wait to share with you my good news. And send the article out so people can see it. I think you want to send email, some kind of communication to your fan club pretty much every 4 to 6 weeks and give them an update about what's going on in your career. Part of the problem of doing this is having something to say. So if you have 3 good things that happen, I might sit on 1 or 2 of them and not put them in that letter so that I can send out another one a month later. My attitude is that it's better to send out 2 than to put it all in 1. And to spread it out. The idea is to convey to people that you have an upward trajectory. Not that you just won the lottery and now you're back down to square one again. All right, who else would like to say something? Ian, you got it. Wait a minute, who's talking? Janice?
Yeah, I was just going to ask one other thing, and I don't know if this is the form or not, but I'm thinking ahead to when we get the chance to do a studio tour with you?
I keep forgetting to mention that. I want to say that. Okay. So all of you are entitled get a one-on-one strategy session. And I think anytime from now and to the next couple of years makes sense to do that. It would be kind of like we began with talking to Jose earlier, about specific things you can do specifically about your career and strategy specifically for you, okay? Realize that it resembles to a large extent the one-on-one work that I do, except it's just a one-off instead of a series of them. But it resembles that, and you can get a sense of what like working one-on-one is. It's something you could do now, or maybe you want to wait until January-ish, so some of this stuff settles. It's entirely up to you. Part of what I do is tell people that they can do it at any time. There are people from the first course 7 years ago that have not done it yet. I don't know if I could handle everybody all at once. So by telling you can do it any time, I'm not necessarily being as nice as it seems. But I enjoy it, and I'd like to do it with you guys. Ian, I'm coming back to you. I don't know if you're unmuted, though. Hold on. You are now unmuted. Go ahead.
Hi, Paul. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Just some random personal thoughts. I'm becoming more aware that I often really bite off more than I can chew, but just being aware of that as I mature is helpful. Also, the thought that's come out from the discussions is the idea of thinking of oneself as an artist. My brother, who's been helping me, trained as a pastry cook. And for some reason, I find it helpful. I will find it helpful, I think, to think of myself in my new office studio practice as signing on and signing off, even though all my life is I am as an artist. However, if I think I'm a pastry cook, I've got to be up at 3 and get that stuff in the oven. So it's sort of helpful. My father was a painting and decorating contractor, and so I
have a friend whose father did that, and he said he went from the can to the canvas. You can steal that.
That can be one of those things I just drip out in the other 4 things. Can to canvas. And the other thing for a paint company logo here, brand was keep on keeping on, and so I like that one. The other thing is, I think what I'm getting is passion, the idea of passion. As somebody who I really respect, an artist and designer, said this is the main thing, and passion. Yeah, not like Woody Allen and sincerity, and if you can fake that, as you said,
George Burns, but yeah.
George Burns, you've got it made. I've been quoting him. But the idea of, look, I really feel like I'm just starting.
And we're not just feeling like we're just starting, and we've been doing it 100 years.
But what an honor! Man, isn't that fantastic? I'm.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, just beginning, and the metaphor. Oh no, this is a bit romantic. It's not really me. I just thought of it on my feet here as I was talking to you. But the metaphor of a slow burning candle is, on the first session I said I just split up from someone and I was in terrible mess and all that. Well, I'm coming through that and got this show coming up. I just went over to the sink and I found this candle. But I could not find a match. And I thought, fine, this is great. I'm not sure how I'm going to wind up. I'm winging it here. I'm ad-libbing, but really, this is a part of my work, what I'm doing here. Like, would you, like, I can't do this, but say I said to you, everyone out there, just concentrate and this candle will light.
Wow, okay.
Okay, so I'll put it down there. Now everyone concentrate. I haven't got a match, by the way. It's not a light. Okay, but that's sort of like...
I think one person's thinking of putting it out.
But anyway, I like the wind. I like fast-burning candles. But in relationships, which seems to be a big part of this with the people, which is really useful. The reason my relationship failed is it burnt too fast. It was chemistry. I'm learning to run from chemistry and to think about a slow burning candle. You don't really know until you're there, sort of thing, as it develops. And so it's very special to be a part of the session. And much gratitude to you and to everyone.
You've been wonderful, Mark, and I really appreciate your role. And
thank you.
I was looking, as I was doing the website stuff, I want to see more images of yours. Whatever website I found, I didn't find enough. So no, I want to see more. I want to get inside your soul more. You intrigue me.
Yeah, it should be back up in a couple of days.
All right, beautiful. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much. Anne, go ahead. Nope, wait, I'm doing it. No, you try. I cannot unmute you.
Okay.
There, good.
I'm assuming that we can continue to reach out and ask you questions, or do you take a vacation like everyone else and say, sorry, I'm not available?
No, I don't do that.
Yeah.
My intent is to remain available. You guys can ask me questions. You can send me email anytime. If somebody like Mark wants to know, like, do you know what software program I should use so that I can do things on my tablet to make images? I would say talk to Lisa Sorenza, who's been doing demos for Apple and is working a lot with this stuff, and she's in London, but she's American. So it's sort of like, I don't know everything. I know a bunch, but there's like 500, 600 artists that have taken this course, and half, 2/3 of them are still engaged, and they know everything. So yeah, ask. And the KAW 21 page will stay. The Klein Artist, I imagine it'll peter out at some point, but I don't know. The Klein Artist Works gang page will stay. I will make sure that you guys have, well, you pretty much do have everybody's email addresses, so you can stay in touch that way, and on the Facebook page, and you can send me emails. Yeah, I want to be able to answer that stuff, so yes, Anne.
I've even thought of the idea of starting a newsletter, and having people write to me once a month what their news is, and I'll send it to everybody. I don't know, it's an idea. What do you think? Every 6 weeks?
For this group or for everybody?
For this group.
I think it's great. I think it's up to the group. I think the group is going to say yes. I assume they all mean it. I'm not sure everybody will actually send you updates. But I think it's a good idea. I think it'll help others to be accountable and to say, oh shit, I better send something to Anne. I better do something first. And I think,
do it, guys.
I think that might be good. So yeah, I would encourage, let's just go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I'll cover the postage.
Email.
I'm aware. Thank you very much.
Stuff too.
What's that?
Because you can send me stuff too.
I just might.
Yeah.
All right.
I just think that would be a great way to share, how we're applying what we've learned in the course.
I also think people in the course sometimes backslip. So I'm not sure quite what to do about that, but if you can find a way to help people not backslip, that would be good.
No, it's not about getting in people's faces. It's about, having people feel that they can reach out to the group and share or ask questions or express concerns.
How late were you in logging in today?
What did you say?
How late were you in logging in?
About 5 minutes.
Okay, so you heard me talking about you.
Did you talk about me?
Not by name.
What did you say?
I said, I think your goals were misdirected.
You know what? I thought that they were a bit heavy-handed myself.
I think the goal is to have art that engages and affects people's souls. I don't think the goal is to have galleries.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
I think galleries are a vehicle. I think the goal is something more worthy. And I'm not picking on you. I just, you just sent me a thing today, and it was a great. I mean, I sort of feel like I should have done a better job of conveying something, because I really, and you can hear what I said.
Well, see, I've shown my work forever, and I've sold my work on my own forever, and I feel like I've got to get out there and start finding galleries. That was more about that. But in terms
it may or may not enhance your communication. It might say, totally, Ann, great, we'll have a show in summer of 2020, bye. And then you have a show scheduled, and all right, but but the point is, how do I communicate tomorrow, next week, next month, all the time? How do I change this damn planet?
No, my latest work is about that. It's about.
Yeah, it is. This course has changed your aesthetic, or has impacted your aesthetic.
Definitely. It's about caring for humanity.
Yes, it is.
That's what my murals have been about, but my individual artwork has been pretty decorative up until now.
I'm only challenging on what you expressed in the email. I'm not challenging what you have done, because I think there's a disconnect. What you've done is more worthy than what you wrote about.
I think you're right. I absolutely accept 100%, your critique.
I appreciate it, because I could use you as a foil or an example to,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think it's an important issue. So thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, time out. Anybody else? I'm looking for waving hands and things like that. Chris Ford, you are unmuted. Go ahead.
I just want to tell all of you that I have found this remarkable. And I don't know, I was drawn to do this suddenly, and it's been so much more, many things than I imagined. Just the way all of you have shown up, and feeling like I'm in a community with people that have heart and soul about art. It's been really wonderful. I was telling my partner tonight that it was like leaving camp after 8 weeks, that I'm like, wow, I really feel connected to all of you. And
isn't that amazing? It's really cool.
No, and just Jose, like you being so real about money and what that does to our lives, which is very real. And then Callie, you sharing your beautiful thoughts, because Jose was open about that. And Paul, the way you bring your heart to this, that's invited us to this together, it's really, really been surprising how meaningful. And in our time to have community like this it's a real wow for me. Like when I studied philosophy and I felt like it changed my life in a certain way, even though this has been like 8 or 9 weeks, and I never knew any of you all before it's really, really touched my life. And I will take it on with all of you. I mean, it's been so much more than an hour and a half on Mondays. So thank you all so, so much. And,
it really has. It really is.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'm going to say it. I don't find this experience particularly exceptional. I find this happens a lot. And I'm positive you can create this on a recurring basis in your life.
Well, you make that seem so. So that's hopeful. I think community is really hard like this. I think there's a magic to it. And I think that the way you come to it has invited us to come with ourselves to it. I don't know. I think it's a collaborative thing that we've all had, but it's been really something. And I just want to say thank you.
And thank you, and you are special. And pretty much everybody in this group is special. I want to say one thing to you, and I don't know if this is relevant or not, but there's certain things about your work to me that reference Larry Rivers' early work.
I love Larry Rivers.
Okay.
That's a compliment. Thank you.
It's interesting about, and some drawings of Marisol also, in terms of completed figures and figures that have varying degrees of importance that have something to do with the amount of presence, in the image.
Thank you, Paul. I love Larry Rivers' early work.
Cool. You're welcome.
And I look forward to an hour with you and all of you to be in touch as we are, the way we do that naturally.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? I'm looking for waving digits. Susan, your turn. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you very much, Paul, and to the group. I was wondering if you were, since you've done this for 7 years now, if you were going to have a reunion at 10 years where all the artists that you've talked with come together. Do you have any thoughts on that, the impact that you've had on us in the community?
I got to think about it. I don't know. One of the things
or is your plan to just keep doing it for another 20 years?
I don't know what my friggin' life expectancy is. Honestly, for 3 years, I've been living with a 2-month horizon, which is a really weird way to live. And now I'm looking at a longer horizon, but I don't know what it is. So, when you talk about 10 years, man, that's
Well, you know what, Paul, something I want to share is that I was a chemo nurse for 20 years, and I gave my heart and soul to all those patients for years and years. So it's really interesting for me now that you're going through that, and everything that I did has hopefully helped you up to this point. And so I expect you to be around for another 10 years.
very beautiful. I like that part. There are about 500 people who've taken this course, and every week I send out, the recording from last night. And I would say of the 500, there's about 200 or more that never open them. Maybe they don't make art anymore. Maybe they dropped out. Maybe they don't like me anymore, or maybe they changed their email. I've often thought about a retreat, or going to going to Kay's house in London, or Amber, who has this phenomenal place outside Livingston, Montana. It would be awesome to go to a week or a 3-day retreat or something like that. That would be insanely awesome, but I don't know. Does it have to be in the United States? I like the idea. I don't know what's going to happen, but thank you very much. I like it. Okay, anybody else want to comment before we shut down? Beth, go ahead. No, stop. You are unmuted. No, you're not. Let me do it. Does that work? No. All right, I'm going to go over here. Beth, unmute. I cannot unmute you.
I did it.
Okay, good.
Okay. I just wanted to say that it's been such a pleasure listening to all of really honest, sincere artists during this time when there is a lot of other stuff going on in the world. And it's been very, very uplifting. And for me, it just pulls a lot of things together that I've been working on for my whole life. We touched on a lot of different things so that I could even out my growth. And I was going to tell, I think it was Janice, I know that you said there's a lot of little things that are going on that you have to do that it seems like overwhelming. And writing to the galleries and all that stuff. And that is, but you do have to take it one step at a time, because and you have to sort of give yourself boundaries, because I've been working on that. That's the only reason I know, because I was very overwhelmed by it too when I first started doing it all full time. And when I did it part time, I carried my studio with me in my pocketbook and a journal. So, and got up early and stuff like that. So, I think that almost anything that happens, like you also said, you were afraid of of what was going to happen if you couldn't handle it. And I was kind of like that too for a good part of my life. And I sort of decided that whatever happens is supposed to happen, and it's just another opportunity. And that happened just a couple of weeks ago. I got offered to have a show in a huge gallery, a huge not a gallery, but a space that belongs to a nonprofit. And it's like huge. And I'm so, instead of being afraid though, I was thinking, I wonder if I should work bigger. And what kinds of things can I work on? Because it's a place that would be open to dealing with probably some socio-political kind of, more than political, social issue kind of things that I could work on. So and I wasn't always like that, but it's just sort of, once I started accepting what happens and then going with it, then a whole bunch of doors open up. It's exciting. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
That's awesome. Thank you, hon.
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to talk? It's a little bit sad to say goodbye, you know.
Yeah.
Or a lot of it. Jeff, go ahead.
I'd like to echo everyone else's sentiment that this has been a great course, and I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. I've learned so much that it's been overwhelming. My head's about to explode. but it's all good stuff. So I'm excited.
Hopefully it's kind of natural. And I mean, I don't know that this is so much art coaching, you know, but it has some life things in it about accepting yourself and realizing that we can be better tomorrow. And that even if I'm a fucking antique, I'm still, you know, I'm still growing, and I've got stuff I need to work on, and I've got room to improve. And somebody in my life will be sure to point it out to me. You know, and there's you know, more to communicate, more to do. It's like, it's kind of fun. But I don't feel like it feels like it's foreign. It's not like, you know, you have to go be somebody else, or you have to put on those fancy shoes, or you have to tap dance. It's more like, I need to be you. I need to be me. I need to be you. I need to be me. I need to be me a little bit better. Okay, I can be a little better. Shit, that worked. Cool. Okay, let's keep going. It's kind of like that. I like that. You know, there's a reason to get up tomorrow.
Yeah, that's exactly the way it is. And the more you work, the more you do your art, it kind of bleeds out into all the other aspects of your life. So it's
Kerry James Marshall gave a great talk about how you've got to keep moving. You know, and one artist today was talking about how they felt really depressed and didn't see any reason to make their art and all that stuff. And I said, fabulous. That's a really good place to be. You know, go do it anywhere. Show me what that experience feels like. You know, it's all part of that process. It's keep moving. You know, Kerry talked about putting one foot in front of the other, even if it's super slow. You are still moving. And Willie Nelson's video biography, I love it. It's called Still is Still Moving. You know, and if he can do it, we can do it. All right, anybody else? All right, you guys, I think I'm going to wrap this up. You guys have been probably the best group ever. You have been really wonderful. I have really enjoyed you. All of you are fabulous characters, and all of you have brilliant stuff to contribute to the art, and I know you're doing it, and I want to see more of it. Let me unmute everybody so you can tell each other things. And I love you, and I hope we stay in touch. Everybody.
Bye.
Thank you very, very much.
Bye. You get well.
Thank you all. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And your stuff.
Start the newsletter.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you and
Keep in
good
touch,
night.
Paul.
Thanks a ton.
You too.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.